I'm Jim. He's Paul. It's been quite a week in Canadian politics with the return to the House of Commons from Mark Carney and the Liberals and the return of Pierre Poilievre. And days after the return, there was a number of announcements of prominent Liberal, basically household names in this country, cabinet ministers, announcing their departure to take on some pretty plum jobs, Paul, around the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, coming and going, Chrystia Freeland, we thought was gone. Then she came back.
Yeah.
And now she's gone again. But she's not gone, right? So apparently she's gone, but she's going to keep her seat. I don't know how that works, Jim, but I think, hopefully someone will question that.
Her job she's leaving for is the special envoy to Ukraine.
Right.
It's in the hopes that when the war ends and they rebuild, that Canada has a help in the trades and companies and investment rebuilding Ukraine. I'm not sure a job of that magnitude, how you can continue to be an active member of parliament and serve your constituents while trying to rebuild Ukraine.
It seems like a big job, right?
A very big job.
Like a big job. Considering what are we into Ukraine for?
Money-wise?
Yeah.
We're well over 25 billion, are we not now?
Yeah. So we're, it seems like a lot of money to manage, quite frankly, make sure it's going to the right place and currently. And then to your point, down the road, as everything gets hopefully resolved and, we come to conclusion on this war, that she get involved in rebuilding the country, helping the country, and also hopefully we reach some partnerships, right? We're
Absolutely.
a significant contributor for the size of Canada. The amount of money we put into this conflict or war has been significant. I hope, we are there at the table, participating in contracts, construction, importing, exporting, all those good things that come with a relationship based on the goodwill that we gain during this terrible time.
And I totally agree that we have to be at the table, Paul. But that was followed shortly by a series of dominoes in Mark Carney's cabinet. Bill Blair, the Minister of National Defense, is going to leave to become the new High Commissioner of the United Kingdom. But we're not done there. Jonathan Wilkinson, the former energy minister, has been offered a job in Brussels as an ambassador to the European Union. He's considering it. Stephen Guilbeault is going to leave at a yet determined post, but he's going to stay on until October 19th so he can get his full pension.
What's happening, Jim? Where are they all going? So let's get it. They wanted to go through the election. They wanted to get the party
get the seats they
elected, get the seats they need, which they did, got a really healthy minority, and then pulled a parachute.
It sounds like a golden parachute, Paul. So to me, it seems like the Carney cabinet is going to have a new look. I hear this from so many people. Well, Mark Carney's like a conservative. And there's going to be an old school Mulroney conservative slant to the new look liberal Carney cabinet.
Right.
Where a lot of these former cabinet ministers were the Justin Trudeau type liberals. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure Carney has a lot of patience and time for that. And that's not the vision he has for the country over the next few years.
So pre-planned? You think this, a little suspicious, right? So we go through an election, we get here, and all of a sudden, so are these positions already been promised? Is this something that, was in the works months ago and we are just kind of hearing like, it's like, oh my goodness, this is just popped up?
It's difficult to believe this just came out of the woodwork during lunch on Tuesday, that they're going to make a decision Wednesday to offer you and I these plum posts across Europe. And it continues. David Lametti, Carney's current principal secretary, which is a pretty prominent job in the prime minister's office, will be given a top diplomatic post, possibly replacing the very, very capable Bob Rae as Canada's ambassador to the United Nations.
Yeah, I saw that. Who's done it? Bob's done a pretty good job, right? Very good job. And I think you got to take your hat off to him. I know he was a Trudeau guy, right? So, yes. And so that might have came to hurt him in the end. But I thought he represented us very well at, the UN. And I don't know if he can fill his shoes right now.
So my question is, as a Canadian, with all these people leaving their post in the Liberal cabinet to take on these international positions, that would it not mean a series of by-elections in different ridings across the country?
Yeah, I guess so. It could have been, and this is an interesting. So if I'm a voter in the ridings,
yes.
So I have to ask myself, did I get a fair shake with my vote? Did we, elections aren't cheap, right? So, this is something we take seriously because of just number one, the cost. I'm always harping on cost, but we went through that. It took time, energy, money to do it. All these people went out, took the time, voted for the party they wanted at the time. And the person they voted for is gone. So now new person in the riding, new by-elections. And if it's not a by-election, why isn't it a by-election? So here, my question, this was one, with Freeland, right? We just hit it on at the beginning of the podcast. So if you're not going, you're going to stay, and you're going to stay. So she said, I'm going to stay and not run again. So she's going to be vacant. She's going to be gone. She's not going to show up. She's going to be, okay, great. So you're not going to represent your riding. You're not going to have the time. We're going to have a designated in her spot. Don't you think okay. So, and this is, Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader comment, where are you? So that's fine. These people step down. Where are you at the table saying foul, timeout? What's going on? Like, again, we have lots of time for witty dialogue, right? But
sarcastic jokes and put downs.
Exactly, right? So we have lots of time for it. But where are we when it comes to these issues? So, whether it be Blair, Wilkinson, Guilbeault, Freeland, the PMO, Lamenti.
David Lamenti, yeah.
Yeah. So as all these people sort of disappear, where's he saying, okay, time out, let's run the by-elections, let's go. To me, and then setting up a structure to actually get into the by-elections to try to go win those seats. So would be the natural reaction that I'd be having as the opposition leader.
And Pierre Poilievre mentioned it right off the top when he's returned to the House of Commons, thanking Mark Carney for the expediency of having the by-election so he could get back. So he should reciprocate and return the favor and say, I am open to immediate by-elections.
Yeah.
So the people in these respective ridings have a chance. He cannot stand in the way. He can't pull off any kind of crazy political stunts. He has to do the right thing for the good of the country to make sure they have quick, speedy by-elections in each of these ridings.
Yeah. You'd think, given you're a minority party.
And you can't have it both ways. You can't get a quick by-election for yourself and then stand in the way because it's the Liberals. That can't fly. I mean, he's on shaky ground to begin with right now at the beginning of this new cabinet and this new session, Paul. And whether or not he survives the leadership review in the new year remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a litmus test for Pierre Poilievre, way more than Mark Carney for these by-elections. How do the Conservatives fare? A lot of the perception in the country is, I kind of like the Conservatives. I'm not sure I like Pierre Poilievre. So that's going to hurt them. And if they lose all these by-elections and the Liberals and a mixture of other parties end up retaining seats, then what does that say about Poilievre and his long-term future and the Conservatives as the party leader?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was a little disappointed in, Nick, we have a clip sort of the beginning of the, when they went back to the House, and, maybe play it for a minute, take a look. But just the dialogue between the two leaders.
My mother taught me never to be late, so please forgive me for my late arrival to the session. I had some meetings with extremely important people in East Central Alberta, Mr. Speaker, after which I was honored to be elected by the great people of Battle River Crowfoot. I served in that South. I thank the great Damien Kirk who made it possible, and I thank the Prime Minister for calling a prompt by-election. I wonder if one day he might regret that decision. But in a spirit of good faith, I wonder if he agrees that our goal should be a Canada where hard work is rewarded, where food and homes are affordable, where streets are safe, where borders are solid, and where we're all united under a proud flag.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure I speak for all parliamentarians in welcoming the member for Battle River Crowfoot back to the House of Commons. He may notice a few things have changed since he was here last. The largest women's caucus in Canadian history. and a spirit of collaboration that was shown in the opening session, including in the passage of the Build Canada Act and the projet de loi du Bloc québécois en ce qui concerne.
And the Bloc's bill in terms of protecting supply.
Yeah. No, so then this went on and on and on, and honestly, it really replicated a little bit of WWE for the first session, and
not even a good match.
No, not even a good match, right? No one got hit with a chair.
No, this wasn't WrestleMania. This was like a sidebar.
A sidebar. But we again, the critical issues at hand. You think we would be more serious in our discussions and not spend the first day making glib comments, asking them if they understood, the quiz, or I'm going to give you a quiz. You're going to answer a question. We've been through this, and then going back and forth about campaign slogans. We're not in campaign mode. So I think that's going to be a challenge, right? I've said that in a couple other podcasts. I think the challenge right now is, if you want to be a leader one day, or you want to be the prime minister one day, you have to act prime ministerial, right? So you have to start presenting yourself with and people with options.
You can say what you want about Mark Carney. He comes across as prime ministerial in the House of Commons, and when he speaks, and right now in this country, the economy, building homes, the unhoused, trying to kickstart the housing industry, healthcare. I mean, the laundry list of issues, and food insecurity, and on it goes. Instead of going for the cheap soundbite, present solutions, present ideas that benefit all Canadians, not just votes for your back pocket.
Exactly. And, we're doing, and I'm not going to, toot our own horn, but we're actually looking at the pillars, right? Yes. The 9 pillars, and whether it be housing, whether it be immigration, whether it be defense, we're looking into the stats behind those. So he's got ample information to pull those stats and to go to those sessions and put them on the table and say, how are we going to fix it? Here's what I recommended when I ran for your position, right? If you don't want to do that, how do we do it? How do we measure it? And how do we figure out the success? And now, quite frankly, and I'm going to go back to the prime minister for a minute. We might be feeling a little bit of, on his team, people who are now ready to jump ship because they're from the Trudeau philosophy of government. And
this is different. And quite frankly,
he's got his own challenge internally, keeping a group of people that got him to the party, got him elected. And now they're saying, hey, I don't want to be part of this. And now he's got to backfill with a group of people who want to be part of it. Again, attacking him right now, not a good idea for the country, because quite frankly, you're not going to get an election. There's no way you're going to get minority governments usually go from 18 to 24 months.
And they're a strong minority government. Let's be serious. Right now, the Bloc, right? It's kind of funny. I was reading it the other day, and I've seen it in a couple of different sources. The Bloc and the provincial Bloc, the federal and provincial party share the same people. So for costing reasons,
right? So the parties use the same, kind of admin, use the same people. So quite frankly, given there's going to be a provincial election and it's happening relatively soon, there is no way, even for this crazy budget that we're going to see on November 4th, there's no way they're going to actually look for a non-confidence or to vote it down or do anything crazy. So they're just going to let it go through. So, quite frankly, it's going to happen.
Not in 2026 would there be a federal election.
No. So quite frankly, if I'm, again, criticizing, having these discussions, you can say it once or twice. Listen, we need a budget. Get it. We all get it. Hey, we get it. We get it. You need to get some by-elections done because you just lost a group of people. And quite frankly, the democratic process of our government is that you hold a by-election and we fill the seat.
As soon as possible.
Correct. So whether, and he's going to say, I want my party to win because quite frankly, I want to gain seats. You did it. Maybe it was, you did do this before the election and these people were promised this after the election. They've stepped down awful quick. So it does look kind of
It
like
wouldn't
that.
be the first time, Paul.
Wouldn't be the first time or the last. So quite
No.
frankly, that's happening. So let's get to it, right? Like, and get out of campaign mode, get into hold your by-elections, move through those, have the outcome, and then get some solutions on the table. And I think that's.
And we're at the point now, Paul, as a country, we have to do what's best for the nation to get through this, to get through Trump, to get through the certain economic malaise that we're into and come out stronger. And sometimes politicians have to do what's best for the good of the country, not best for what's going to be the soundbite in social media or the network news at night.
Yeah, but we didn't start off that way.
No,
And that was the disappointing thing. I think, here's the thing. We went through the summer and there was a lot of, we were told that there was a lot of self-reflection on what had happened during the election. And
Correct.
A lot of people were consulted on, why it didn't happen the way the Conservatives wanted to and what went right for the Liberals. And, we heard a lot about that. So then, we start, everyone sits and off we go. We start right where we started off at the end of when, session was closed, because quite frankly, we needed a new government. We needed an election. We ended up right where we started. And that's disappointing given where we're at. So let's hope, over the next few weeks, we get the early session jitters out of everyone's, holster, and we get moving forward on putting together some solutions that work. And, he's talked about the sovereignty bill and he's talked about a bunch of stuff, Poilievre. Let's get to it. Right. It'd been nice right off the hop. You didn't need to say much more. You said, listen, I'm not going to say much today. I'm going to be coming with a bill with a bunch of solutions to the following 10 things, because all I can achieve right now as a minority government in the next 18 to 24 months is to assist the country to move forward.
And don't you think the average Canadian would have a great deal more respect for Poilievre if he had done that?
Yes. Well, and I think
his likability factor would be, because it can't get much lower.
Well, let's see. How do we alter? What did we lose? We lost seniors and we lost women. I think that we were told that the votes in those categories
went heavy to the
Liberals, right? So we were told that. So how is starting off with the same approach changing any of that dynamic? Do you really think? Now, it does cater to your base. I get it. It does cater to the people that went to the rallies and all that good stuff.
It's not going to help them win an election.
No, it's not going to help. And so quite frankly, keep doing this, through the budget. And, I started, it's interesting, Jim, because I look at the economic side.
Of course.
I like that. I like the numbers, given my background. And, the last few days I was looking at everything and I'm listening. I thought, I'm going to do a podcast on the economics of the budget on November 4th. Well, I already did one which dealt with, 2024 annual report of the federal government. And it just, broke down basically the basics of where revenue comes from. And we took a look at how things had changed since 2019 to 2024. So basically where our spending increased, where our revenue flattened, all those good things, and where it increased. So we took a look at those when we outlined them to get ready for this budget. And I thought, am I super happy that it's November 4th? No. But you know what? They called a date. So now I think it's up to us to let them put a budget together, present it, go through it, and then, really try to critique where it's good or bad. Do I think there's going to be any outcome to that? I don't think there really will. I think, quite frankly, whatever the budget gets presented will be approved. I don't think there's any appetite to do anything going forward.
And it's a belt-tightening budget. Yeah. They've made no bones about that, Paul.
Yeah.
The way that the state of the country, that it's going to be, they keep using this term austerity. Mm-hmm. Well, they're not saying that for no reason. They're saying that to prepare us for what's coming. And I think that's one of the reasons they extended the budget to November the 4th, to mentally and emotionally prepare Canadians for what's about to drop when they announce that budget that afternoon on November the 4th.
Right. Which I think we needed it, right? If you look at the 2019 to 2024 numbers, it becomes very apparent we didn't adjust after COVID. We kept climbing. And so, quite frankly, we did need to kind of do some belt tightening in a lot of different areas. But, let's see in November 4th. Again, let's hope, and this is my goal, after all this silliness happens and everyone steps down, we figure out, what the process is to get these people sort of out of the way now they've taken their appointments, and to get new people in their seats. Let's hope we actually have a logical approach to how we deal with all these issues. So again, recommendations, suggestions,
ideas, thoughtful ideas.
We came and criticism, I think we had in the last podcast, the first set of major projects that were put on the table were underwhelming, right? We all, I think everyone's kind of agreed. And
some of them are already in the process anyways.
Yeah, most of them were kind of in the process. I don't think there was a couple that weren't, but they were kind of long-term ones that we had seen before, like rail. But now we have the opportunity to sit back and say, okay, what are the things we can do? What are the things we both support? And what are the things we can move forward? And, I thought it was very interesting, and I won't spend a lot of time on it, but, the U.S. went into their 45-day review of the CUSMA agreement, right? Mm. So now they've kind of put us on notice. They're going to look at it. So they're actually getting
in November, I believe, correct?
Yeah, they're getting consultation on it. So now, that puts even more focus on the fact that we need some solutions, because, I think we all know that's being done for a reason. They're actually moving that forward as fast as they can. Probably one of the reasons Freeland is moving on right now is, quite frankly, she probably wasn't super supportive of the approach because she did it last time, right? So I think she's kind of made the decision to move on for a number of reasons, and that's probably one of them. But that is a big, if you had to look at the deer in the headlights, that's the one that you have to look at now. And I think it would have been best when they actually sat to actually, rather than to make jokes and glib comments, do campaign slogans and sort of all that good stuff. Would have been nice to actually say, hey, if you think tariffs are bad now, wait till 2026 when we have to redo this agreement again. And now things are going to really get challenging. So we really need to focus. And here's a format of how we want to do it, or here's,
something tangible that Canadians can really sink their teeth in.
Exactly. No more, I don't think no more jokes, funny comments, glib conversation, criticism of where we're at. Let's get going forward, right?
We have to as a nation.
Yeah. So I agree. And I hope, and I wish these people well, they've served, some of them, as you mentioned, waited to get their pension, so they served long enough to get a pension, and good on them. So they did their civic duty. And I think as Canadians, we all appreciate what they did, but, they're moving on to some pretty good, let's call it retirement portfolios.
They're not cashiers at Giant Tiger.
No, they're not.
They're doing pretty good.
They're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And so they've positioned themselves really great. And I hope they are very successful in what they do for the country. But let's get some good people in their seats and get moving on.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
He's Paul. I'm Jim.